Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of the Captured in the Psych Ward. Now, this is the most dangerous effect of all time. Okay, have a listen. Martin Kelly escaped from solitary and ran around the HDU with a knife from the breakfast tray and threatened Brad by saying, "You cunt! Better watch out! You are a stupid old motherfucker, and I hate you!" And Brad said, "Oh, fuck off, kid pedophile." And from that moment, he said that Ron was bringing a new patient in the door, and he was Connor's best mate, who left Connor alone for the police to bring into the psych ward. And today was the day when Connor gets an assessment to see what is really wrong with him. The patient's name is Simon Camden, and he robbed a liquor store, and he had a balaclava over his eyes. And Simon was really struggling and told Ron to fucking piss off and take me to Connor, because me and Connor go back a long way. You see, our friendship is great. He would do anything for me. And Ron said, "But if you expect Connor to serve time with you, you are sadly mistaken." Anne said, well, look who we have here." And Ron said, do you two know each other?" And Anne said, "Yeah, he was the robber at my house." "Yes, you were the one who fled after we stole the money from the basketball kitty. You see, Ron, this man is the reason for my aggressiveness, and I guarantee you should put me or him in solitary. I will kill him if I see him alone, because you really piss me off, cunt." "So what is your name?" Ron said. And then Martin pushed the nurse, and Ron had to run to save her, and the door was left open, and Martin Kelly and Connor's friend Bob both escaped and found their way out too. And now we are dealing with two breakouts, Martin and Bob. From out of the hospital, and they ran out of the hospital, and the tram pulled up and both got into it. And Martin and Bob went back to Martin's home and stayed low for a couple of days. And Ron and the nurses kept all the mental health wards under lockdown, with nobody getting pass-outs until they fixed this problem. And Ron went home for the night, and it was a different cause, because he lost two patients, and that was not part of his plan. Not part of his plan, mate. He was a safe place for people to get better, but what matters worse, he had a knock on the door. And it was a robber who had a balaclava on, but he was really Martin Kelly, and he had a gun. But he said to Ron, "I prefer just to knock you flat and steal your stuff." But Ron said, "No, mate," and punched Martin in the mouth. And Martin came back with his gun and shot him in the leg, and then called to Bob quickly, "Take everything from this man's apartment." And Ron got to his feet and got his hammer, and when Martin Kelly was leaving, he swung the hammer and knocked Martin Kelly out. And really, Ron wasn't worried about Bob running away, but he took Martin Kelly back to the hospital. On the way, Ron's car broke down, and Ron used his mobile phone to ring the nurses to bring out an ambulance to come and get Martin Kelly back to the HDU. And this took about 40 minutes. And when they got back, Ron told the nurses that he would like to stay for a while. Well, he had to anyway, because he had to have his leg taken care of. But once he had all that, he went back to the HDU just to make sure everybody was all right. And Anne told Ron that why did Martin Kelly get past you and not me? I have more guys than him, so why? And Ron met the 14-year-old boy, Robert, who was hearing his 6-year-old dead sister's teasing voice constantly in his head. And Ron said, "What is your sister saying?" And Robert said, Robert said, "She is saying, I ain't your mummy. I wanted to die that day to get away from your family. And every time on the street and inside my house, I speak to her. They treat me like a real crazy person who should just have beliefs that other people have." And Ron said, "Stick to your own beliefs. Don't let anyone take that away from you." And Kate came out and said the last kid was too picture perfect. I hope you can understand our problems, because really I want to get better, and really you need to see our way. And Robert said, "Well, what do you mean, your way?" And then the nurse came in and said, "Connor's friend Bob was just in the emergency room and he has just passed away. We must ask Connor about if he knows the next of kin." And they said, they asked Connor, and Connor said he has 2 brothers in Carlton who live together, but whether they care or not, I don't know. And well, Connor was upset and started to scream and shout a bit, and the nurses had to hold him back. And when they rang Bob's brothers, they said they don't have no brother. And then when their heads got around all the marijuana that they were on, they put 2 and 2 together and went to the hospital to claim Bob, and said that Connor is too sick to be a friend to their family. You see, we are real hooligans, and Connor is a man who nobody wants in our lives. And then Anne and Brad said to each other, "Those blokes look crazy, huh?" And Kate went out and introduced herself to Connor's friends' brothers, and they said, "Fuck off." And she said, "Why don't you fuck off, you stupid junkies? You're a bunch of bloody junkies." And Ron was having a hard day trying to settle down with the fighting with all the patients, and Susan came out ready for her dinner, and one of Bob's brothers ran into, causing Susan to tell him to fucking piss off, you fucking cunts, or I will put you all out of fucking action. And Ron said to the nurses, "I am going home and relax my leg, and hopefully I'll be back tomorrow." And on the way home, Ron bought fish and chips and took it home and watched TV. And then his ex-wife, Sally Thompson, knocked on the door, and Ron answered it. And she said, "I found out where you lived, and I won this bottle of scotch, and I want to share it with you. And maybe this could lead to something good, like SEX." And Ron liked that idea a lot, and they had a laugh about old times with the scotch and retired to the bed. Just let me say that Ron had a few sick days to rest his legs and boost his hormones, and this was cool. Okay, so that was a very good finish up to that little story, even though there's still a lot more to sort of mention. But that actually was a pretty sad, event, knowing that Bob died. But then it was very good for Ron in the end, because he ended up getting a bit of sex. And there's more to that story. Okay, bye.